Oh, so like the lady with the mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely they have blamed you?
Hey everyone. Hi, it's Robin and Elan. Welcome to our second podcast. I know it's been a little bit of a while, but we have some feedback from our first podcast, and we're going to delve into some of the trivia questions that we have, and then some little bit of follow-up on our last podcast.
I wanted to talk to you a bit about that. What kind of feedback are you getting from your colleagues, your teammates that you used to play with? Have you had any feedback?
Yeah, for sure. I had a couple teammates reach out to me, thanking me for talking about it. One teammate said, you should have said more. You should have, and that's okay. And you should have talked about more things. But I think the thing, and then another teammate at that time, I thought the biggest thing that resonated with me is she said, we minimize, as women, we minimize the abuse, or we minimize, we figure out ways to, well, I should have been stronger, or I should have, and I think it's also, I like to split it because I know this is still going on. I read lots of articles, it's still happening. I can only relate to at that time, excuse me, and the way that I was raised. So the way I was raised was you respect everyone who's in a position of authority. So any coach that I ever had is what I would have done. Teammates who are older than me, like a senior in high school when I was a freshman on the senior basketball team, I would defer to them and I would just be quiet. I would never question anything. And at that time, it was just a style of coaching as well. There was a style of how they would talk to you and what they would do. So, but it's really resonated with me what she said is how we minimize that. And I was thinking, I knew we were going to be talking about this a little bit more, and I don't mean, I'm going to use this term, and I don't mean to minimize PTSD. But it's funny when I know that I'm going to talk about it, all the things that come back into my memory of that time. And so, just as like, oh yeah, that happened. There's so many things. So there's a lot of things that have come to my mind since we last did this that I'm like, oh yeah, oh, that happened, or that was terrible.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
so.
and the most amazing thing, well, I guess it's not amazing. It's still going on. Tell you what, I don't know. I just really appreciate you talking about it and going into it with the depth that you were comfortable with. And I know there's so much more, but I think we gave a flavor to a feeling of what was going on. And thank you.
Yeah.
So, you okay?
I am, yeah.
All right. Going into our second podcast, there's a couple things we should address. We had a couple questions out there for people that are watching. I think one question was trivia question.
Okay.
Which one of us played golf with Michael Jordan? And, and that was not me. However, I did learn how to golf from the person who golfed with Michael Jordan, which is you, the best golf instructor there is. But anyway, do you want to tell us about your experience? I know you don't like to name drop, and I know you don't like to, you're a very humble person, but I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting story. I think it's cool. So if you don't mind.
For sure. Well, it's cool for me too. So as obviously a huge sports fan my whole life, here I am in this situation, working at the private country club that I worked at, and meeting all of my heroes. So, so Michael happened to be a member at this force, and I had the opportunity one day, there's 5 of us professionals, so all the guys had had a chance to play with him, and I still hadn't had a chance to play with him. And one day he asked for me. So he asked because I was the only girl. So he's like, well, I want to play with the girl pro, I want to play with her. So I got to play 9 holes with him. He still owes me money. I beat him. So I think we played Prospector at the course that I was at. And I beat him by 3 strokes. But it was amazing. I was nervous. There were 2 other athletes, pro athletes that were playing with us. And everything was just like you're just I honestly didn't even say anything. Like really driving up to the first tee, I rode with Michael in the cart, and I just wasn't even saying anything. I was just trying to think, okay, like I got to stripe it down the first hole. I got to stripe one. I know where to place it on that hole, and I'm just gonna I gotta play. I gotta be on my game. So Michael knew that I played hoops, so he knew that competitive piece of me. So right away it was just like, excuse me, but shit talking, totally. It was, what are we playing for? How much money do you have? What do you, so
Right.
it was well, I don't have any money, but
but he likes to bet on everything.
Everything's a bet.
So what would be an example of one of the bets you guys had?
In the fairway. Okay. So, because I couldn't outdrive him. Hits it pretty long, but it was okay, who's in the fairway? And then, but everything, one thing with those guys, this is divulging probably really secret information, is called the bus driver. So whoever finishes last on the hole, the lowest score, they're called the bus driver because they're going to always finish last. I don't know why, but they call it the bus driver. So you never wanted to be the bus driver, right? Anything I could do was just to not be the bus driver. Yeah.
That's
bringing up the rear, right? Bringing up, oh yeah, you're last. You never won a hole. You never did anything. So everything was a bet. Everything out of the rocks, in the desert, was a bet. Can I get it on the green? Or, oh yeah, everything.
Right. I'm curious, how much would a bet be?
Oh, well, a bet with me was probably $10. But a bet with the other guys was probably, every shot was probably 100, 200. Yeah. And if you're the bus driver at the end, you probably had to buy everything, lunch-wise, etc.
Right. Did you ever golf with Charles Barkley?
I never golfed with Charles, but he used to come out there a lot. And that was when he had the hitch, the huge yips in his swing. So I would say every pro in our shop went down to help him at some point, trying to get the yips out of his swing.
Right. Is he a dancer?
Is he a dancer?
You didn't happen to go clubbing with him, did you?
Yes, one time.
And how's his dance? What, the same as his golf?
Oh, he can dance. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, that's good. So the other part of our question was, which one golfed with Julie Inkster? That was, well, I was on the course with her. I was a caddy. I wasn't golfing with her, but she's a lovely human being. And I think you know her as well.
I've met her, yes.
Yeah.
Julie's awesome.
Yeah. Great sense of humor.
Total. Great sense of humor. Engages with everyone, right? As I'm sure you felt the whole round with her. Just amazing human.
She made me feel relaxed. She was telling jokes, and then she'd say, do you know a good joke? And we'd banter back and forth. I was on the course with John Gormley. He was golfing with her. I was a caddy, and it was quite an experience.
Have you ever seen the Julie dance?
No.
Okay, so you need to, hopefully it's on YouTube, but I can't remember if it was when it was either the US Open or the Solheim Cut. She made this long putt, or anyway, you got to watch the Julie dance. It's hilarious.
I'll do that.
Yeah. I think if you just went Julie Inkster dance, You'll find Julie's dance. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. I might put it up on the podcast.
So thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. We'll have another one dropping next week. We'll be speaking with a special guest, Kathy Holtman, PhD from the University of New Brunswick. Also going to talk about who's the jazz recording artist and who had a private meeting with Queen Elizabeth. A little bit about local sports, U of S Husky basketball. I got to go. I got some golfing to do. See you next week.
Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, men have named you. You're so like the lady with the mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely they have blamed